For all film-related interviews, content and reviews, please subscribe to Pooja
Well,
Talwar.
it's lovely chatting with the two of you, and both of you get together after 12 years since Dev D. So what was that like?
It was horrible. Yeah,
Could be.
it was horrible.
I
Mahie
had
was
so much fun. Yeah. I mean, I was very nervous. I mean, I was still nervous. I'm still nervous in front of her.
Yeah, he has that effect on people. He makes
Yeah.
them nervous.
Yes.
She's just
definitely.
Mahie's too humble. She's too
I
humble.
mean,
You're too humble, Mahie. You were fine. You were fine. First of all, I was really happy when they said, "Oh, Mahie's playing your wife." I was like, "Really?" So that was fun, because I have thought like, shit, it's been so long since Dev D, and the memory of working with her was always good, and I just think she's an amazing actor. So I was like, okay, how do I get this? Like, when do we get this chance again? And because we got together in a very special film, I didn't want to do anything any less than what we'd already done.
Hmm.
And so this just seemed perfect. Like, I was over the moon. And then it was like old times, nothing's changed. We'd met briefly once, maybe twice in between the time from the FD to now. And so there was no breaking of the ice. And she plays a completely different character from Paro, where she's kind of outgoing and almost aggressive as Paro, and this really strong woman. Here she's a more devoted wife and a support to her husband. So it couldn't be more different. But I did feel once when we were together and looked at us in the mirror, I was like, oh, this is like if Dev and Paro grew old together.
Yeah, and not like on steroids as in Dev D, but much calmer, right?
He wasn't on steroids, he was on drugs.
A little polite. But it's interesting. I mean, the 1962 war, I mean, a lot of films have been made on the same. It started with Hakikat. And, it's something that still, I think, hurts the Indian pride. And also, we lost a whole lot of soldiers. So when this narrative came to you, you're playing Suraj Singh, what was your first reaction? And what were the reasons that you decided that you wanted to be part of it?
Well, one, I love historical stuff and stories, first of all. Secondly, the point of view that this narrative was taking was what Mahesh was taking was to kind of show the human side of war, the effect it has on the soldiers that fight, the families behind those soldiers, the community they come from, even going as far as having an empathetic view of the enemy too. Kind of show that in a war there are no winners as such.
Exactly.
Just it's not pro-war. I am not pro-war. I'm anti-war, and I'm always for a peaceful diplomatic solution. And so it gives more credence to that. The loss is immense, and I'm hoping when people watch this, they wouldn't beat the drum of war just out of anger, because a lot of people want to just go into a fight straight away. And it's like, are you going to go in front of the front line? And I remember once I think I'm not active on Facebook anymore, but I think I was at this time, and I remember writing something about we should not fight this in on the field. We should have a diplomatic solution. And I remember the soldier's wife was saying, yes, um, my husband's a soldier and I don't want him to go to war. Obviously she doesn't. I want a diplomatic solution to this. So I think that's an important notion to put out there.
Totally.
Yeah.
I come from the forces that totally understand and resonate with what you're saying. And
Yeah.
Mahi, it's also very interesting because these days, as he said, they're showing the personal aspect of a soldier's thing, not just about him being service before, self. So what was it something different from what you've done before? Because I've usually seen her in gangster movies like.
Mahi.
Okay. Oh, the question's to me.
She got
I
was
understood.
I was like, what happened there?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I mean, for me, definitely, yeah, it is a very different story, and I could easily relate to the character because I'm from an army background. I myself was selected in the army, and I even went to OTA for training. Plus, I know a lot of army people. It's not only armed forces, basically, So I know a lot of people, and and for me, it has been a very emotional journey because she's a very, very strong woman, and she knows that her husband is a soldier first, and then a husband and a father. So I could easily relate to the character, and I wanted to do something like this. And then there was Abhay Deol I wanted to work with, वापस से मेरा पहला hero. And the whole setup was quite interesting. Mahesh Manjrekar is an amazing director and an awesome actor. Uh, so I could relate to this character easily.
Abhay, have you noticed something these days? The kind of war films that we are making in India, I know, as vis-a-vis what we've seen coming from Hollywood, is also like, as you said, showing also the other aspect, the soldier's personal life, and also somewhere also showing that the soldiers are also human. Because what happens is usually, during armed forces divas, you have one hashtag and everyone says, "Hail the soldier! Hail the soldier!" What do you actually make of it now? Suddenly, a lot of war films showing the humane side, they're coming up. What do you make of it? Because I've been very intrigued. I've been seeing a whole lot of war dramas coming out, and
I mean, what? Because I haven't seen any. Give me some examples.
recently a few have come out. Recently, because they're no longer jingoistic.
They are jingoist or they're not?
No longer jingoistic. They're showing.
So I haven't seen any of them, but if that is the case, then great. There's an evolution of thought. There's a maturity coming in. See, it's also in part, I suppose, technology exposing the country to cinema and shows from around the world, and then the OTT platforms coming and opening in India itself, because Bollywood is regressive. Let's just call it that. It is. Yeah. And it liked to stay there because it's a formula that has made money for decades. Why change anything? And I've had a personal experience of that. And these OTT platforms come along and they're like, great, we'll do the Bollywood stuff because there's an audience for that. And we'll do the non-Bollywood stuff too because there's an audience for that as well, because they can afford to do it. They're a digital platform. There's a limited space. So Indians up until that point who would look at foreign stuff and see, okay, they can be progressive, but would look at Bollywood and because what Bollywood is giving them would expect it to be regressive because that's just the way it was always been. Now suddenly are seeing their own Indian actors who don't look like steroided out growth hormone muscular guys. They look like real people. And now suddenly I'm like, wow, I can relate to this character. And oh, wow, Indians can do it too. We can be real as well. And so I suppose, and then the writers and directors are getting that chance. They're not held hostage to the stars. They suddenly now can write what they want to write and also cast for the role, as opposed to being at the mercy of a studio saying, take this actor, or a producer saying that. And all that adds to the evolution of thought, because visually now you're getting freedom to cast the way you want. Visually now you're getting, to write what you want and show it and hear it. And so it's a natural progression. We're not being held hostage by the few powers that be in Bollywood who say, no, we do this is what people like, and this is what we're going to give them. We're not under their mercy anymore.
And it's true, the narratives that I'm seeing are on OTT platforms, not in the industry, because the jingles.
I mean, what was that David Hearn film that just came out? Apparently it was really bad. And they even on OTT platforms are doing the same thing.
Mahie, tell me, how are you relating to the OTT platform? Because you had said that, you were being stereotyped. Now, do you think that bracket is going to move away and you can do whatever you want to?
It has, trust me. 2 years back when I did the first show, I really wanted to know what is the difference between cinema and the OTT platform. But I didn't find much of a difference in terms of work or technical point of view or whatever. But yes, there is a lot of work happening. There's an amazing content that's happening, and you are getting to choose what you want to do. I mean, so I'm really happy with it is the future. OTT is the future. I mean, I said that 2 years back, and but again, I miss the big screen. I mean, I would like to watch myself on the big screen, but OTT has definitely, broken that thing in the sense that, people were only giving me those similar kind of roles, which is not happening anymore. And, so I'm really happy about it.
So as a Dev D co-star's Insta bio reads, making stuff that Bollywood doesn't make. So you've been succeeding so far with it. And do you think it's going to get easier or tougher?
Well, my hashtag is making what Bollywood wouldn't.
Yeah, well, making what Bollywood wouldn't. That's what your Instagram.
Not Bollywood wouldn't, just Bollywouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a play on Bollywood. It's a play on the word wood. So I turned wood into wouldn't. So it's still one word, Bollywouldn't.
Yeah. So has that been succeeding so far, or do you think it's a long.
I mean, my hashtag was in calling out the films I've done even before the OTT platforms came here.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, with the OTT platforms coming, as we were discussing, they're a limitless space. They have all the space in the world. They're a platform that will constantly need content, and they're a platform, and so that was by its very nature will start giving chances to new directors, writers, actors, ideas.
Yep.
And I was doing that before they came in. Most of my films were debut directors or directors that very early in their career, and so I do feel there's a synergy there. Yes, I would like to keep doing stuff for the big screen, but I'd sooner do something I love and see it on the small screen than compromise and not be proud of what I've done and see it on the big screen. For me, it's more important that I'm proud of what I've made. Now, if I can make the Manormas and the Oilakis and the Dev Ds and the Ekchalises and the Sochanathas and put them on the big screen, sure. But the problem with Bollywood is you only get the backing if you have another big named producer or studio to back you. Otherwise, they get a beating in marketing and distribution. So it might as well be on an OTT platform. At least people know it's coming out. If an OTT platform is making a big movie and a small movie, but they're both original content from that platform, it's in their interest to market both equally. Whereas if you're doing a movie in theatrical, there's only so much that the small film has, and there's so much that the big film has to spend. There's no competition there.
Mahie, what would you like to change about the industry now?
I think now, a lot of things are changing. Interesting stuff is coming up. Good stories are coming up. So I think things are changing, and eventually they will change. And women are getting interesting parts to play these days. And so I think there's a lot of happening now.
But do you think the lines between sorry, Mahie, sorry.
No, yeah.
Also, both of you, do you think that the lines between the star and the actor are blurring? They're now looking out for actors?
Mahie, go first.
Sorry?
The lines between stars and actors is blurring. Do you think so?
Blurring, he's asking.
It is, no?
You know what?
When we did Dev D 12 years back, that time I was like, "Ye main kya kar rahi hu?" Because I have grown up watching actresses running around the trees and dancing and singing. Ye kya ho raha hai? But then later it was like, this is what people want to do. The actresses are, they want to do this kind of work now. Everybody, in fact, the storytelling थी वो अब आ गई है, and people want to do that kind of work. So हमने उस time 12 साल पहले कर लिया, so what is happening now. But yes, I think the line is fading. Even the big stars, they want to do good stories these days.
They want to show their act, basically.
Yes.
I think, I think there'll always be stars. See, there are lots of actors who have the potential to be a star, but stars are made. It's an investment. You get a multiple brands that you endorse, articles in the press, big named actress opposite you or actor opposite you, producer backing you, studio backing you. So it's kind of made. Like, you just need half the talent that some other person has, but you have the backing of big people behind you, and you make a star. You create the persona. It's what Noam Chomsky called manufacturing consent. And people in that sense are gullible towards bombarded, of course. And that's how advertising works. If people weren't influenced by what they saw, then advertising wouldn't work. And so that culture will continue on. I did feel a lot when I was doing I always had a thing about stardom. I had actually distaste for fame growing up in a famous family. So, which was one extreme. I wouldn't subscribe to hating it either. But I'm glad I didn't love it either. It didn't define who I was. And maybe as people get more evolved in their tastes and they see, oh, look, because I think there's a certain amount of anger in people as well, because they're now realizing, oh, we've just been fed this stuff. Like as Mahie said, like, oh, I thought it would be running around trees and people want to watch this. That's the gullibility they've been fed to believe. And so now people are realizing, oh, wow, as an Indian culture, we can show women in a different light than we've always seen them. As an Indian culture, we can see that that's not really romantic. That's actually harassment. And I think that is what's going to make these people stars. Not so, because the big powers will still not back an OTT star unless it becomes a huge show and then they want to put him on a movie, and then they will also do the same thing. You know, they'll back them with brands, they'll back them with marketing and make stars of them, because that's the only way they know how to function. They don't know how to function any other way, unfortunately. But like it happened in Hollywood, all people go to cinemas to watch something spectacle, like superhero films have spectacle. But the good dramas moved to TV, and suddenly the stars were like, okay, I can wear a Superman outfit and do all this sci-fi stuff, but it's not satisfying. I'll still go do that show which expects me to play a mother or a father or a broken man, because I don't get that opportunity to do that in a big spectacular movie. You know, so that thirst for good content hopefully will still will come up with the Indian Bollywood stars. But I think within the Bollywood ecosystem, they're very happy where they are. They don't care. Like within the Bollywood mold, they want to show all the nuances of comedy and drama and action. They don't want to step out of it and go one other extreme, because they haven't seen it much. And I know this because that's what I was touting 15 years ago, you know, and trying to put it out there.
True. And coming back to your show, I mean, what was your biggest takeaway, and war dramas, which is that one favorite, your all-time favorite war drama, both of you? And did you when were you playing, you were playing Suraj Singh, did you meet up anyone? Was there did you observe any of the officers, read up or anything? And Mahie, same for you. You come from an army background, as you said.
Yeah.
I could relate to it because obviously I've experienced their lives. But my favorite war, I forget names. I'm terrible with names.
You're on steroids, Mahie.
I watch a lot of them. I mean, but I always forget the names. So
I could give you Saving Private Ryan. There was Hakikat. There was Border, and I've also forgotten now. Bridge Over the River Kwai.
I've forgotten the names.
Where Eagles Dare.
For me, it's always been Kubrick, because his vision. He also hated war. Full Metal Jacket, Dr. Strangelove. You know,
Okay.
it's a dark comedy on nuclear war. I think it's genius. He was a genius. Yeah.
So when you were playing Suraj Singh, did you refer to anybody? Did you say anything? Did you read up on the Sino-Indian War?
In Dr. Strangelove for Suraj Singh would be comical. No, I obviously have the guidance and direction from my director, and I have family in the army from my mom's side, so I kind of visited them a lot, and I experienced people who are from that world at an early age. As actors, we have to anyway stay fit. There's a discipline that we live with. You read a story and you understand the character through that story. You draw a graph. There's a graph to the story. There's a graph to the character. And there's enough there that you don't need to watch something, but it's each his own. They're different actors with different methods. I didn't have to watch anyone or anything. I have a lot of personal views about war. I'm so anti-war. And that's why the human side of it, which was highlighted in the show, was a big one for me.
Anyways, looking
And I
forward
believe
to
so much is given to you. You know, so much is written. I mean, the amazing dialogues written for you. The story is amazing. So half of the work is done. You know, and then if you have a good director, so obviously everything is taken care of. So मुझे लगता है actors का 20% जाता है, बाकी everything is taken care of by other people.
I mean, there you are standing and the camera's zooming in as you drunk. You're not going to go, you're just going to sit there silent also, and all this will just take care of it.
Ironical, now someone who hates war is playing a platoon commander. Well, that's what acting is all about.
Yeah. And he's done an amazing job. Huh?
Yeah, and I like to believe I'm not a chauvinist, and I still played one. Acting is about being what you're not.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much. And this is your first war drama, right, Abhay? I mean, your family have all starred in Hakikat and Border and, chalo. So thank you so much, Mahie and Abhay. So I hope you don't have to wait for another 12 years to see you back together on screen.
I'm shifting to LA.
She's coming to LA.
She's calling to LA.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Looking forward to that. Abhay, any plans to come back home or?
I'm coming back in March.
Okay, chalo. सोचा BSc shift हो गई पूरी.
No, I live in both countries. I have family here as well.
Chalo. It was lovely chatting with the two of you. All the very best.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.